Nigerian political landscape has been shaken by a wave of mass defections in parliament, with members crossing party lines in both the National Assembly and various state houses of assembly. The development has sparked intense debates about party loyalty, internal democracy, and the stability of Nigeria's political system, as these defectors cite reasons ranging from internal party crisis to alleged lack of inclusiveness. Many Nigerians are asking, what does this mean for governance, policy continuity, and the future of our democracy? Thank you for joining us on Nigeria Today. I am Ikaria Clinton. With me in the studio for the conversation on mass defection in Parliament is the founder and DG of the Flag Foundation, Chris Aguirre. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Nigerians, and thanks for the invite.
And also joining us via Zoom is a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, Jide.
My pleasure too. Good evening, Ikaria. Have a wonderful.
So today I'll start with you. We have current defection. 6 persons defected to the ruling APC from PDP and Labour Party. You know, in the House of Representatives. I don't know what you have to say about this.
Ikaria, the issue is that this is not the first time defection is happening in Nigeria or in Africa. It's a global phenomenon which happens in almost every democracy. And that's why there is a provision for plurality of party systems. Political parties, by their very nature, are associations that has free entry and free exit. So, when people are not having their interests protected in a particular party, they seek refuge elsewhere. Well, many of us have condemned the mass defection from one party to other as being rooted in lack of ideology. But yes, it may be happening in Nigeria at a higher scale, but even in the United States of America with over 250 years of electoral democracy, you still have defections. You have people, one very good example is Senator Bernie Sanders, who was formerly with the Democratic Party, who has now chosen to be an independent. So it's not something that is limited to Nigeria or Africa. It's a global phenomenon. But suffice to say that the reason why we have it in our laws is because it is contemplated that it may happen or it can happen. So, because the law already presumes that it can happen, it makes provision and gives guidelines as to under what condition can you defect if you are an elected member. Of course, for ordinary party members, there is no provision, there is no punishment or guidelines for you to defect. But if you are an elected legislature, a member of the Legislative Assembly, you have to follow the guidelines, part of which is enshrined in Section 16, subsection 1G of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is that there must be division at the national headquarters of your party. And when you look at the fact that many political parties, including the ruling party, have their issues, so you may have a very good ground for members of the parliament or the members of the assembly defecting from one party to the other. Unfortunately, Ikaria, for executive, for the president, vice president, governor, deputy governor, there is even no punishment for defection. You can defect as many times as you want. A case in point was Ochendo, former governor of Abia State, Theodore Oji, who defected into 3 parties within 2 months. He moved from PPA that brought him to power, joined ABGA. Within a month of joining ABGA, he moved again to PDP. And nothing happened to him. And so it has been there. But yes, it's happening like a rain in Nigeria right now. But it's not something that started with this republic. It has always been there since we started electoral democracy.
Thank you very much, Jide, for that opening remark. Now, Chris, just like Jide has mentioned, one would really ask, what is driving this current wave of mass defection in Parliament? But he has said if they approach some of them because their interest is not protected, the next question is, what is their interest?
I don't want to dwell on their interest. With due respect, their interest is largely based on their selfish personal interest. The political system funds their needs. The average Nigerian politician that won an election or gained an appointment, his basic needs are met through the system. That alone is enough, to be their interest. But it comes a time in the life of a people, life of a nation like ours, we say we have to sit down and say, what is wrong with our system? How is our system evolving? To be honest to you, the way we are evolving, I am not happy with it. It's not going to lead us to the promised land. Back to the issue of defections. There's nothing new about defection from one party to another. The laws are so flexible that it gives them the room to manipulate and give up excuses. But I also want to look at it from a different angle. It can also be a political strategy. If APC as a ruling party is jumping and jubilating that everybody is coming to them, they should watch it, including Mr. President himself. Supposing, let's be truthful to ourselves from the evolution of the new democracy from 1999. Politicians, their major concern is the strategy to remain in power. With all due respect to them, I am yet to see those whose drive, whose interest is for the public good. It's for public goodness. Please, having said that, supposing all this jumping is a strategy to sabotage the ruling party, for which they are professed to be a member, at the door of election. At the door of election, you'll be surprised to see a different ballgame. Then, secondly, morally speaking, there must be morality in ethics. The party that gave you the ticket, that gave you the ladder to climb there, if there are problems there, what stops you from taking extra steps to fix the problems? As a human association, there must be problems, there must be challenges, there must be misunderstanding, even the family level. Why is everybody running off? I remember Governor Akeredolu, governor of Ondo State. May his soul rest in peace. At a point, he lamented and said, must everybody be in APC? I'm not against anybody going to any party. Must everybody be in APC? One, let's also look at, beyond their interest, this, now, because the way it is now, one can easily conclude that APC as the ruling party now has majority in the upper and lower chamber of the National Assembly. They can use it, cash in on it, and reinvent the nation. A one-party state, as we think to be heading, is also good. It has its good advantages. And I want to elaborate on its disadvantages.
Before you elaborate,
on its advantages first.
Yes, before you elaborate on that, let's bring in Jide here. Now, Jide, from your perspective, now, how do these defections, defectors justify their moves? They've a lot of them have cited crisis within their parties as the reason. Some say inclusiveness. They've not been given that sense of belonging in their parties. But now, are their reasons politically or ideologically grounded?
Well, what is ideology in politics? The only ideology that a politician knows is interest, whether it's selfish or selfless. It's politics all about interest. Okay, now let's not deceive ourselves. I do not support defection, but it is what it is. The reality check that stars you and I in the face is that many political parties in Nigeria are badly run. There is maladministration in many party systems. Let me start with the ruling party. And I quite agree with my brother in the studio, Chris, that APC should watch it back. Because by this time next year, or before, there might be an implosion in APC itself. What I do not support is coercing people to come and join your party. When you start pressuring them, some governors have said they were pressured or they are under pressure to come and join the ruling party. For instance, early this week, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State said he's under pressure from APC to come and join the party. I do not support that. Let everybody be. Like I said, politics is about free entry and free exit. But let's not forget one thing. Politics is a game of interest. There is no permanent friendship. There is no permanent enmity in politics. Today's enemies may become chummy friends tomorrow. Today's chummy friends may become estranged political enemies tomorrow. That is the matter. That is the manner of politics. Today, you have people in APC calling themselves APC chieftain. But they were told yesterday, 6 months ago, 1 year ago, they were calling APC names. But today, they have defected and are now singing a new tune. One thing with politicians is that there is no politics with morality, particularly in Africa and in Nigeria. We are not playing politics of ethics. It's politics of self-centered minds, politics of personal aggrandizement. And in fairness, let me say this. I'm not totally condemning politicians for putting their mouth putting their money where their mouth is. Take for instance, if you want to run election in Nigeria today, you must have very deep pockets. You must be very stinkingly rich. And you don't want to go and waste your money in a party that will not guarantee your electoral victory. When it was convenient, when PDP was a bright party of choice, people were paying millions to go and contest under PDP, even when there are several other political parties they could have plied their trade. Remember in February 2019, as of February 2019, we have 92 political parties in Nigeria. But when you look at election, the 2019 election, how many parties have representation in the Senate? How many have representation in House of Reps or State House of Assembly? In fact, it was the 2023 election that has the highest number of representation in states, in Senate, House of Reps. In House of Reps, there were 8 political parties at the beginning of this 10th House of Assembly that have representation. 8 out of 19. In Senate, 7 out of 19. In states, about 6 different political parties have representation in terms of governorship. But the way things are going, before the end of this year, you may have the number of those parties in the House of Reps shrink to about 3 or 4, or those in Senate shrinking to maybe 3 or 2. So the point is, I don't like coercion. But when you look at what you need to contest election in Nigeria...
Thank you, Jide. I know there are some issues you raised. We'll come back to that. And of course, you said one of the politicians is being, will I say forced, or he was being pressured, into, we don't have that fact really. But again, it behoves on the person to either say yes or no, right?
Yes, of course.
So now, Jide mentioned something very, very significant. Now, in all of this, what role does internal democracy or lack of it play in these in prompting this political shift?
Now, internal democracy, the issue of jumping ship, which Amechi and Ekwe describe as jumptology, as a result of non-ideological politics. Permit me, I want to look at it from a different angle. Look, because we don't have the time advantage, considering the state of the nation. If we have to gravitate towards one-party state, for everybody to fall in line, to reinvent our nation, so be it. A one-party state, we don't need to shy away from it. After all, we're almost there. A one-party state promotes more national unity, national cohesion. It makes decision-making easy. You pass the laws and promote and push your policies and programs, with all hands on deck, which I've always preached in this studio. The president has a tendency of, bringing out policies which I consider good and fair for the generality of Nigerians. In such a way, you queue up behind him. Let these policies come up. Let the entire country, political system support it. Let us sustain, reinvent our country, reorder the nation generally. So that let it be a renaissance, because the issue of disagreement from different parties will be curtailed when you have majority. That brings me to another thing. That's one of the things I personally hold against President Goodluck Jonathan. In 2015, the Constitutional Amendment Committee, Upper House and Lower House, passed constitutional amendments. And most of those constitutional amendments were offshoot of 2014 confab, which all Nigerians stayed together and then came up with some positions that were for the good of the country. President Jonathan, if he had signed that amendment into law, most of the things we're talking about constitutional amendment today will not come up. They were contained there. But he failed to do that. That's the topic for another day. The point I'm making is this. I don't bother who goes where it's coming from, where it's going. If they want everything to gravitate towards the ruling party, let them be genuine. Let it be a renaissance. Let all divergent views be accommodated and implemented to reinvent Nigeria. It will bring about, stability, among which is through federalism. President Tinubu I describe him as the father of modern Nigerian through federalism. Which is a little bit of a 1963 constitution. Devalue power to the states. Do away with the 62 exclusive legislative list that makes the center so attractive. If APC magnates the political class together and propose devolution of powers and other things, it will help the country. For the average politician, like Jide said, his interest is self, and self. But this time around, let them, be less of self, and for the collective will and for the collective good and goodness of all Nigerians. This issue of insecurity will come to a halt when powers are devalued down. The issue of agitation for what you call separatists and all the rest of them, that one will melt away into a stronger, more unified Nigeria, where justice, equity, fairness, and fair play, where all hands will be on deck, where no citizen will be higher and greater than the other citizen. That is what I'm advocating. Let them come to APC and jointly carry Nigeria to the promised land.
Thank you, Chris.
That's not my problem for now.
Now, Jide, many citizens feel that these defections will undermine the voters' mandate. Now, in your opinion, do you agree that such moves should attract legal consequences under the Constitution?
I do agree with you, Keria. And really, I will support any proposed amendment to the Constitution that criminalize defections. Not necessarily criminalize. Maybe that's a wrong choice of wrong word to use. And what I want done is that, yes, you are free to exit a party, but you cannot take the mandate of the party to another party. So if you want to move from APC to PDP, PDP to ABGA within 1 week, you are free to do so. But if you get elected on the platform of APC or PDP or ABGA, you will relinquish that seat and allow the party to nominate another candidate in another election to fill that seat. See, you know why I'm proposing this? Because the way and manner in which defections are happening now is antithetical to democratic consolidation. Many political parties who do not have many members in their assembly may lose their license, their certificates to INEC based on the fact that they do not have an elected member. Don't forget, Section 225A of the Constitution has empowered INEC to deregister a party. So, for instance, ADC, before the coalition joined, the coalition member joined ADC, has only one House of Reps member, Honorable Abejide from Kogi State. If Honorable Abejide leaves ADC and there is no more representative of ADC either at the national, subnational level, INEC may, on that basis, withdraw the certificate of registration of ADC, because there are two different grounds upon which a party can lose its certificate. One, if it does not win certain threshold of votes in an election, or does not have at least a councillorship seat. So situations where the parties that are not the dominant party, I don't want to call them fringe parties, where their elected members are moving into the dominant parties, may warrant the withdrawal of the certificate of registration of these parties. And that is why I
said... Thank you very much, Jide. I really wish we had more time for you to, tell us more. But then this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Chris Agiri. He's the founder and the DG of the Flag Foundation. Thank you so much for coming. And of course,
thank you very much. I also would have wished to have a parting shot, because it's a topic that is so burning. And then we need to know where we're headed to.
Thank you very much,
we need
Chris.
to know where we're headed to.
And of course, Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst, joined us via Zoom. Thank you so much, Jide, for your contributions.
My pleasure, Okeria. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And thank you for being part of the program. I'm Okeria Clinton. Goodbye.